Hey, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, the break below the 46.5 to 48.5 area resulted in a move down to 37.25, which is within one tick of yesterday's initial support zone. But overall, we are still in a very bullish pattern, and the bigger picture and intermediate term bias continue to be bullish. Now, as I covered in yesterday's videos, the market was getting quite overextended, so a pullback is actually not such a bad thing. It's actually healthy for the market to pull back rather than continue heading higher with any kind of even short-term minor correction. So if you just look at the overnight session, it looks like the sell side is now more in control and dominant. But when you zoom out a bit and look at the bigger pattern on the daily chart, you can see that this is just a minor pullback in a very strong market. And for that reason, our intermediate and bigger picture bias are going to continue to be bullish, but our short-term bias is going to be neutral today. And that means that the market can balance within a range today, and there can be opportunities on both the long and short side. Now, because the intermediate and bigger picture bias is bullish, we're still going to be favoring the long side, and we still need to be more careful on the short setups, but we can consider taking short setups today if we're getting good trade location, and especially if the real-time signals are also supporting a short setup and we're getting good trade location. So heading into today, we have to be a little bit more flexible with our intraday bias and understand that the market could now just be establishing a short-term trading range. On the downside, we have initial support at 35.25 to 37.75. That is still an area where responsive buyers can be active. In the event that the market puts in a short-term break below initial support, responsive buyers can still be active at the support areas below. We know that in overall bullish environments, breakdowns have a tendency to fail. So that's also something to keep in mind and be aware of today, where in the event that the market tries to put in a stronger breakdown below initial support, that breakdown could end up failing, and then the market could easily return back above the initial support zone. So just be on the lookout for false breakdown attempts. Now, if we're breaking down on heavy weakness and trend down type internals, then of course it could be a legitimate breakdown attempt. But if we're not seeing any major signs of weakness and the market tries to break down, then we know that that could end up being a false breakdown because we are still trading in an overall very bullish environment. On the upside, we have pre-market resistance at 44 to 45. This marks the overnight breakdown area, and holding below it would tell us that the sell side is still more dominant on the smaller time frame. It's not a major area of resistance, but holding below it does tell us something about the market, and it could lead to a retest of initial support. Beyond that, we have a naked VPOC and open gap at 46.5 and 46.75, followed by initial resistance at 47.25 to 49.25. That marks yesterday's low as well as the launching point of the downside move in the overnight session. It's a spot where sell side could be active on first test, especially if the market is short-term exhausted into it. After that, we have the overnight high and the previous close and previous VPOC at 52 to 52.5, and that is yet another spot where we could see a sell response on first test. Keep in mind that these resistance zones don't have to result in big downside moves. They can simply provide a reaction, and then the market can start to balance yet again. And then above the overnight high, the only resistance zone we have is at 58 to 60, which marks yesterday's high as well as the all-time high, and we would need to see some broad market strength and upside momentum in order for the market to reach 58 to 60. In the event that the market does reach that zone, sellers are likely to be active on first test. So today could end up being the type of session where we get reactions on first test of the zones, but we will have to assess the quality of those reactions in real time, because it might just be a short-term response, and then the market can end up going through and testing the next zone. So overall, today's expectation is for a balanced and range-bound session in alignment with that neutral short-term bias, but bear in mind that the bigger picture and intermediate continue to be bullish. So those are the main thoughts heading into the open. Let's see if the buy side can maintain the overall control and hold ES above the initial support zone today, and we'll take it from there.